live, and we are live. Or at least we should be live, and I think we are. I'm pretty sure we are.
Great.
Yes, I can see us on the mobile phone too, so we are actually live. Welcome, everybody. We are just a little bit late, but sort of on time. Because again, we had the Skype problem as we do each week. This week, I tried to make sure that that did not happen. So what I did is I completely rebooted my system 10 minutes before the show. I then went into Skype. I went into settings, checked the video settings. Everything was fine. Everything worked correctly. The red light on the camera came on. No problems. Up until the moment where we actually made the call, and I was invisible again on the Skype camera, which is not the Skype, the camera that is being shown on Twitch now. But anyway, so I thought, well, we will, fuck the camera. Let's just, I'll share my screen. Then we're fine too. And then Skype totally stopped working again. So I don't know what this problem is, but okay. Anyway, we're there. Welcome. We've got a nice show, I think, or it could be. And we will try and stick to the schedule as much as we can. But it won't be a problem at all if we don't stick to the schedule, as you all know. I don't see any stream chats yet, but I'm pretty confident that everything works technically. Today, we've got some news of the week. A couple of little odds and ends that we might discuss. One of them obviously being Formula 1. Yay! Okay. Then we have to do an AirTag update. And then last week we decided that maybe it would be nice to discuss a little bit on the subject of what TV should you buy. Well, we'll discuss later that it's totally something, at least what I'm going to say is my opinion, and it's open for discussion, but I think it would be a nice discussion. And then the memory of the week, which, as usual, I have not prepared, so hopefully we'll come up with something. Anyway, let's start with news of the week. Let me switch to another. Well, maybe we can start with you can start talking about while I prepare the other screen. Start talking about Formula 1, because that was obviously
the news of the week.
Actually, the only real.
I mean, as far as we're concerned, it was.
It's actually the real news of the week. I have to say that it was a little bit annoying, as I didn't see it live for this race was the first of all season that I did not see live.
Okay, but you know what's happened, right? You
I have
obviously.
When I got home, I obviously saw the whole thing. Thing is, it was Father's Day, and we and you would say I'm a father, so we do whatever I want, which was not the case, because I had to go to another father, so we had a dinner out, and so I missed the race. And I said, well, I'm not going to be one of these persons that will just totally terror the whole family because I want to see Formula 1, and I'm not going to do that. So I'll just skip it. I'll hear about it later. Because, France is boring anyway, so nothing ever happens there.
That's what we all thought.
So, anyways, so that was my thing. So I saw it later, but I think
I was surprised because right at the beginning of the race, the way everyone was set up, I turned to my wife and I said, all Max has to do is keep his head in the first corner and he'll be fine. And of course, that was the one thing he didn't do.
Obviously.
And I'm like, straight away, I just thought, I can't believe we've thrown the race on the first corner. But when they got into the pit stop rotation, I think Red Bull and Mercedes and you and Oscar and me and Paula all sort of went, what the fuck just happened? I mean, even Max was surprised. If you heard his radio call, he was surprised.
That is a good question, and a lot of people are talking about that, because there's a sort of a second missing. You can calculate stuff, and there's still a second that he was quicker than everybody expected.
So I saw a good analysis of that yesterday, and they said that he was zero point 0.9 of a second faster on the in
Yeah.
lap and 1.8 seconds faster on the
Okay.
out lap. So he was 3 seconds faster than Lewis on the lap
Yeah.
around his
Yeah.
pit stop. The pit stop was zero point 0.4 of a second faster, and he was 0.4 of a second faster in the
Yeah.
pit lane. So that was nearly another
Yeah.
whole second. That's how
Yeah.
it happened.
Yeah. Which is, the whole pit stop. I mean, they're only looking at the stop time, if it's 2 or 3 or 4 seconds or whatever. But there is the
Yeah.
whole. It's the in lap and out lap, but also driving
All the
into
other stuff
up to the
that goes with
pit
it.
and driving away from the pit, which obviously could be half a second in there, which nobody
Yeah.
ever discusses. But from now on, they will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
For
get the
sure.
impression now that might become a topic of
Yes,
discussion is how fast is the in lap.
exactly.
But if you saw where the Mercedes garage was, it was
At the
really
start.
at the beginning of the
Yeah.
pit lane, and they had more or less to make a 90
Yeah, they had to
degrees
go all the way. Yeah,
turn to get
Yeah.
on the pit
Yeah.
spot, and I think this was really for Mercedes not the best
Yeah.
spot to be located in.
I agree.
So
That was one of the things that they also mentioned, that it could be just the sort of a natural angle that they had to make to stop. Could be. It's a combination of all factors, but well, it worked. Well, effectively, Max lost and won the race 3 times. I think he missed. He missed the first corner, which is weird because it was a weird grip issue. Well, obviously it was his mistake. He couldn't keep the car on the track, so I mean that's in the end it's his mistake. But he had a lot less track grip than he thought. It was not like a couple of years ago that he really went as a kamikaze and you knew that he was not going to make the corner. This was one of these things where he was. It's not the ideal line, so there was a little bit of risk of that. He had to go a little bit more outside, really. He didn't do that, and he was convinced that he could make it safely through that corner without any drama, but apparently the car went all the way. So that was the first one. Then obviously he had to go to fight back. Then we had all the tire problems, and then he won again on that pit stop. And then he made the second pit stop, so he was back again, and he had to fight his way back, and then he overtook Lewis. And all in all, it was absolutely
the second pit stop was
great.
brave.
Yeah, it was brave. It was really good, and these are up for. I think these are. It now starts to add up. These little things that now start to turn in favor of Red Bull, and it's not only it's Red Bull themselves, obviously, that also make it happen. But it's also a little bit more. It falls a little bit more their way now, and that gets under the skin of Mercedes. Obviously, they are completely not capable of handling this stress. They're just not used to it.
Well, the problem we have now is the next race is Austria, and Red Bull have really not been good at their own race the last 2 years. So that might fall Mercedes' way next week, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think this is going to be still a 50-50 thing, I feel. At least it's 50-50 now, and not like 99-1.
Yeah.
But it could go either way. Little things that change on the car, little mistakes, one do not finish, might make all the difference now. So it's going to be really... I like it, because obviously now Max has to become world champion, but I'm going to say that even if he doesn't, but he's very close, it will still be a very nice season. Problem being that next year everything is different, and you probably have to start all over again, and we don't know if Max and Red Bull will be competitive at all next year. So that will be a big gamble. So if he wants to become a world champion, this is probably the year to do it. And then we can see from there on. But at least they've got a chance. And the next 2 races in Austria will be telling, I think. So, but I'm gonna watch them live. Maybe I shouldn't. By the way.
So Paul, if you how brave are you feeling? I've just sent you a link on our
Okay.
WhatsApp. Talking about next year, the first prototype of the first visible mock-up of a 2022 F1 car was shown today.
Oh,
Oh, really?
cool.
Yes. So I put Paul kind of on the spot here to see if
I
you can get the picture on the screen.
The
And
only thing always is that I need to sort of email it to myself because, yeah, the WhatsApp thing is just a little bit. But I'm just gonna do this. Compose mail.
so it's there's been a lot of conjecture about what they might look like, and there's been all the artist renderings. This is a physical car. Basically a really good guideline to what we can expect the majority of the cars to look like next year.
I'm going into my Gmail now. Click on the link.
Sorry, I mean, it would be far too simple if you had WhatsApp on your computer. So this is perfect for overcomplicating it.
And there is a way to get WhatsApp on your computer, but it is so invasive that I always kill it again because it starts doing a lot of things that I don't want. So I always remove it once I've used it. So now we should be able to
there you go.
And this is what it looks like. Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah. It's an interesting evolution of what we're used to. The floor is very, very different. The rear wing is very different.
Is there more?
The air intake is quite different. They don't have the wheels on this car, but the wheels will have covers on the outside of them. But it's just as you were talking about next year, I thought this was probably relevant to have a quick look at this.
Course. Yeah, we'll probably get more and more visuals and information about the cars, but I don't know. It's interesting because technically it's interesting to see what they've changed and what the cars are going to behave, are going to be like, but also will teams like Mercedes and Red Bull automatically be on top again? Because there's also, it's not only the car design, but it's budget caps too. I'm pretty sure that they're already trying to do all kinds of stuff to not really have a budget cap, because if you split up things between companies, if you use this year's budget to design things for next year's car, obviously that might all be.
Well, I think that's fair game actually. So you can never use your budget for what you want to use, but you only have 160 or 170 million dollars this year, and even if you spend it to go on holidays, it's fine.
Yeah,
but
true. I'm not saying that it's illegal, or I'm just saying that it's interesting to see how the teams are gonna try and find ways of doing this. So
for sure, I can imagine that a team like Red Bull is still going full pool as well on the this year's car.
Yeah,
and maybe teams
like they are now.
They have to. But other teams like Ferrari maybe is not developing their car for this year anymore, but have all the revenues on the new car already.
And it'll be interesting to see how the war between the engineers and the FIA heats up once they find little areas on the car that the FIA weren't very specific about. And then they take advantage of it. I mean, there was a great example of that a few years ago with Red Bull. The FIA rules said that there had to be rear view mirrors on the car, and they didn't say where they had to be. So Red Bull looked at where the turbulent air was coming off the front wheel, and they put the wing mirror there, which from the driver's point of view was about here. Because there was nothing in the regulation that said the driver had to be able to use the mirror.
We're going to see it. I mean, next year is going to be interesting anyway. So So yeah, okay. So that was Formula One. I'm thrilled about the whole thing. Obviously, it's really great that we're at this position now and still have a good chance at least to.
And the three of us are showing no bias
No.
at all.
No,
We're not
no.
about that. We're not saying that this is a non-biased show at all.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have to be doing.
Maybe we should put a disclaimer somewhere. Yeah.
A disclaimer at the front.
Totally biased. Okay. Anyway, so that's obviously the only actual news of the week. Some other things. One thing that Oscar sent me is this video of a very tiny but fast RC car.
Well, yeah, we had a couple of weeks ago a guy who built a remote car from his Hot Wheels or whatever. But actually, you have now really just kits for sale on a scale of 76. And this is a really nice one. This is actually a version from the Fast and the Furious. But it drives like crazy. It's proportional. There are lights in it.
So, I mean, this obviously is another thing for the bucket list. We need to have this, obviously. Let's see.
Yeah.
So this is next level, like the mini sets we had.
Yeah.
And this is look at it, how great it is. So this really you can do on your table.
Yeah.
And create a circuit and start racing each other.
So cool. And once it's one step away from also being able to put them on Wi-Fi and control them over the internet, and we can do a race on somebody's kitchen table from all over the world.
yeah, that's cool.
I wonder what the actual speed is versus the scale speed. I bet that's got a scale speed of 400 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, it probably goes way too fast. It's crazy, but actually this it has, I think, 3 settings, something, so 10%, 50%, and 100% of the speed.
Okay.
So you can start driving it quite slow, and then
it's got a good,
when you get better, you can make it faster. But I really liked it, and this one actually comes with. So the kit comes actually with a colored cap. But also 2 grey ones, which you can dye yourself.
So cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And the complete set, I think, €68 or something.
That's
been
so good.
Complete set.
We need this. Obviously, we need this in our lives.
We need this.
This is so cool. This is again stuff that as a kid I dreamt about. Being able, to have your sort of remote-controlled Matchbox car and drive it on the table, and now it's there. These kids nowadays don't know what they have. It's
these kids.
These kids. Yeah, really, really cool. So that's a great link. Talking about miniature things. This is an airplane from Banggood. You can see for scale how big it is, and it's I don't know, 20 centimeters or something across, and it's a really small plane. So it's in itself it's 70 or 75 I think euros, and we had those little planes some years ago. I can't remember the name, but the little small scale planes. Which is sort of the same, but now it's even more easier to fly, and it's all flexible, so you can't really break it. Well, you can obviously, but it's not going to break easily. And this guy is putting an FPV setup on that. So that's another thing. The miniaturization and the possibilities of making things very small and light. It's just amazing because it's not going to look very nice, but if we go on a little bit further, you see that he put this Banggood run cam. I think the plane is about 70, the run cam is about 70. The only really expensive thing is the FPV goggles, obviously, which you need to do this correctly. He's testing it here, and you look ridiculous. I'm not gonna have anyone near if I start doing this, but The antenna looks just absolutely crazy, but he's gonna do FPV flying with that, and it looks pretty good. Here you can see a little bit of the footage. I don't know if you have the delay, but
Now we can see it.
So now it becomes pretty easy to fly FPV. I mean, it's the goggles. The goggle is for €500, so that's a really big chunk of money. But you can use that goggles for all planes you want, and it's just great. First person's view, and just fly a little. Yeah. There's no real stress because you can't really break it because it's so light. If you crash, it just sort of like a leaf. It will probably come out of the sky. You know, it's not even 100 grams or so. It's really really light. So anyway, I thought that was cool. I was almost ready to start buying it, but then I saw the price of the goggles and I thought, well, maybe not. But the plane in itself is cool too, you know, to just fly it.
Yeah, and you can probably also fly it just as a remote
obviously,
control plane.
Yes, it is a remote control plane. Yeah,
it is
basically that, and he just made it FPV, but you don't have to do that. So, you know, for $70 or $80, you've got a really nice plane which you can fly. Yeah, you can't have too much wind, obviously, but you don't need a lot of space for it. So it's really fun to just go out to a field, maybe even in your garden. Well, if you've got a bigger garden, and you can just fly it. So anyway, I thought this was a nice technological advance in FPV flying. So
So but of course the goggles and the camera that's you have to rethink this, Paul. This is not about the airplane. You can put it also on an RC car.
Oh yeah,
and,
definitely. Yes,
whatever.
Obviously, when you have that setup, that FPV setup, you can use that for anything.
DJI sell the drone specifically for FPV now. Mm-hmm. So
so that's
drone flying indeed.
That's cool. Cool too. So
the nice thing with the drone is if it goes out of range, it doesn't crash. It tends to come back.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah. True.
Okay.
I can imagine. So just I can imagine. My thought would be that it would be more easy to fly an RC controlled plane when you have your goggles on.
Might be.
But
I agree.
Would that be true? Yes or no?
Well, I don't know because I've never done it. But I would think so because you don't have to think about directional things. You're just in the plane. No, so you will sort of...
Yeah. We need to reach out to our huge viewer base and get them.
Yeah. Start crowdfunding again.
Another crowdfunding.
Start crowdfunding again for a plane and some goggles, some FPV goggles.
And we will test the crap out of it for you. That's...
yeah.
Anyway, one other thing that I think... Linus obviously is the thing on its own. I really... You know, it's great what he's doing. There was a video of his workflow on having to produce a number of videos, and it's just like, you know, hard work. If you see what's going on in this company, it's just amazing, and that he can make so much money out of that is just, you know, is really cool. But the thing that I brought it up for is Windows 11. I don't know if you've heard about it. But apparently, it looks like we've got a Microsoft thing going on end of the month, and it's pretty sure that it's about Windows 11, and it's now even more sure because there's a leaked version of it, and Linus got its hand on it and installed it, and you had to do it on a virtual machine. And okay, you probably should watch the video if you're interested. But the thing that really is mind-boggling, or it is and it isn't, when Windows 10 came out, that was going to be the last Windows version. So there was not going to be...
It was going to get continuous updates.
Yeah, it would just get updates, annoyingly enough, and it would just stay Windows 10 and not go to any other name. And now, obviously, we've got Windows 11. And then I start thinking, okay, it's not a big deal whether they come with a Windows 11 or call it whatever they call it, because it's just another update.
You're pre-panicking.
But I'm pre-panicking. Yes, because I know the amount of work and stress that goes into any new Windows version. And you know what happens, and there's another guy. I'll bring it up later, and he's thinking the same. So I'm luckily not the only one, and maybe you can follow my thought too. For me, Windows is just software that is used to run my programs. So I use a couple of programs, and there is some system that these programs need to function. And that is Windows, the operating system, as it is. It's called like that. And it should be like that and nothing more. And you should have updates for security. And you should obviously have updates if new video cards come out. And all these technical things, the things that you need to run your programs, you need to keep up to date. But what's happening is that it's being used as obviously a money-making scheme, and not only you have to buy your Windows, but they also want to control what more than that, and it's like an entertainment system. And then you've got the last updates of Windows 10. Suddenly, I had news widgets or something coming up, which I had to switch off again. So what happens when I install Windows 10, and I've installed 20 or 30 Windows 10 systems? You get all these things. No, I don't want that. Switch off. No. I don't want that. I don't want it. You go through 20 screens where they try and lure you into all these things that you really don't want to switch on. Luckily, we know a little bit more about it, and we know to not do that. And then after you've done that, you have to go into the settings and switch off another couple of things, which they really don't want. They don't want you to shut off. Because they want to have some sort of control. Stuff. You can switch that off too, most of it. Then you can say, I want the updates, but I want them delayed, which is a good thing because the updates could break your complete system. And that's, if you hear about that, you can wait with your update because they probably fix it. And then you have to go through all these things. And the first couple of months, there are more and more of these things that you notice and you hear about that you have to switch off. So it takes me, I think, probably in hours a week over the first year or so to make sure that Windows only does what I need it to do. And I have to get rid of all the annoying stuff that is totally useless and annoying for me. Which is obviously bad for software that you even have to buy. It's not like it's free, So it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this is not going to change. And what Windows 11 is going to do is in one step bring back all these things that I have painstakingly took out of it, and it's all going to come back again. I'm pretty sure that's.
I think that's a valid observation.
I'm sort of fed up with that.
I only upgraded to Windows 10 when I had a catastrophic failure of my last machine. That was what caused me to go to Windows 10. I didn't have a reason to go until then. No. And in the end, I was glad I did because it worked better than 7. It was better for the games development. It was better for support of graphics cards and audio cards and accessories. But again, that was, like you said, that was 2 years ago that happened. And just this week, I had to turn off a whole bunch of stuff that they activated again.
Yeah, they keep reactivating it.
Yeah.
And things change. I'm working on this system. I know it's not, there are a lot of people that probably don't have this exact problem because they don't care about all these things. Maybe they even use them and find them. And the tiles thing and the apps thing is something that I just don't use because the apps are always worse than the actual program. So why would you use an app on a computer that can run anything if you can just have the program to do that, which is much better? So I have never understood that. But so I think so first, the annoying thing is that it's probably all going to come back and I have to go through all this shit again and have to learn again how to use my system because I know exactly where everything is and then it's going to be different. So that's annoying. So why is it? I mean, in cars you can buy expensive cars, cheap cars. You can buy fast cars for a circuit. You can buy cars for the city, and you choose the car that fits you. And you know that if you buy a car for the city, which has good economy and mileage, you're not going to go fast on the Nürburgring and all that, and that's a choice you can mostly make, although cars also go in a certain direction. Sorry?
Unless you're Sabine Schmidt.
Yeah, unless you're Sabine Schmidt, obviously, yeah. She can do it with a van. But anyway, the point I'm making is that wouldn't it be much better, and wouldn't there be a business case to be made for having a Windows version just for creators, or no, not even creators, just for working things. So just as an operating system. So a bare Windows version, they can ask money for that, but they have to promise to not, update it for no reason at all. Only to keep it safe and do that. So that's one. And then you'll have a Windows version for, entertainment. A media version or whatever, where all the gadgets and things for people that have a Surface Book and just want to have that and use that more or less as a tablet and just use Windows that way, or have it all in one Windows, but be able to choose it or switch it over or something like that, because this is becoming such a big mess. And also you can see that, at least I get the feeling, if you look at Android, iOS, Windows, and then Android and Chromebook is sort of thing already. And then you see that iOS is more and more importing stuff from Android. So iOS is growing towards Android. Windows is actually doing the same, really, because it's also all the apps and the gadgets and the things. It's also, so everybody seems to be gravitating towards the Android system and the app system and the Chromebook system, which is not good, because they should all stay good at what they are best at. Apple was good at certain things and was good for a certain group of people, and they should be happy with that group of people and keep these people happy and not try to rule the world. So
So this is something that affects everything in corporate America nowadays. It's the Me Too syndrome.
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about Me Too, the women's movement. I'm talking about Me Too, where company A builds a machine that makes ice creams, and for some reason their competition, company B, makes ice creams but now also makes microwaves. And company B's ice cream is now not very good, and their microwave is not very good. And company A's ice cream is very good, but company A goes, oh, we need to be doing that as well. We need to compete. We need to be making a microwave. And then their products go downhill.
Yeah.
And in the case of businesses like the business I work in, you end up chasing programs and contracts that you really shouldn't be chasing sometimes. It's like, well, we operate on a plane up here where we have a certain amount of overhead and a certain amount of cost. And how do we compete with people that have a company with 25 people in it? And Windows is kind of doing that. They're doing the Me Too thing. It's like, oh, we have to have tiles, and we have to have floating adverts, and we have to have, all this extra stuff, and it has to run on a phone, and it has to run on a tablet, and then they canceled Windows Phone, and now everything's on a tablet, and now that's not really working, so they're going to make Windows 11 work on everything. And
I saw that Windows now has the same, like the start menu is more like iOS now. It's in the middle. The bottom middle of the screen, I think I saw. So they're also trying to copy that. It's a mess, and it's all about money, and they have to survive. But I think they would also survive if they did not go that specific route. And it makes me think of all those years back when the first iPhone was launched. Back then, I was working at Vodafone, and they were obviously, because they didn't have time to market and they didn't have that phone, so they were worried about that, which is obviously normal if your business is that. So they were coming up with other things, and then BlackBerry said they were going to build a phone that would actually be better than the iPhone, and everybody, we're going to make the iPhone killer. And I had so much discussions in that company saying, this is not going to work. This is not the solution. But that's, we need this because we will go bankrupt if we don't. Well, they didn't, obviously. And then
that's another problem, is the idea of something that will kill something else. Like you have that problem with cars. Everyone's trying to build the Tesla killer. No, just build a better car and people will choose it. But there's people like me that will never buy a Tesla.
No,
I will compromise, or I will buy something that has better build quality, or from a manufacturer that I like, or that does a better job the way I want it to do. But if the car that I'm driving, if that company decides they suddenly want to build Teslas, I will stop looking at that company.
It's the same. Maybe we should go to the next subject. But one other thing that came to mind is that I had a lot of Toyotas, and some people say, why would you buy a Toyota? It's boring and everything. I know, but to me, they weren't that boring. At least they were, they never broke down. I didn't think they were that ugly, and I sort of loved them. So I bought Toyota. I was a real Toyota fan. And then they started building Toyotas in Europe. And then they started to say, they have to look more European. And then suddenly it was more like an Opel than it was a Toyota, and I stopped loving them. I found them ugly. I don't want an Opel. I hate Opels. I don't like the way they look. I don't like anything about it. And then Toyota started creating that same thing because it would be more appealing for people in Europe. And then we've got the whole technical thing that the Nippon Denso parts were way better than the Bosch parts, and Nippon Denso people were explaining to Bosch how they should make parts, but that's because of the import things, but that's a whole other stupid thing that I don't agree with, but that's a whole different show. Anyway, so that's the way we're going. We can't do anything about it, so we have to sort of work with it. And
the sad thing is, that you and me and Oscar and everyone else will all end up on Windows 11.
We have to.
And we'll fix everything, and it'll be just fine.
So in a way, it's useless that we discuss it, but then again.
So we're panicking 4 years ahead of time.
I know, but that's because of experience. It's not. I didn't do that the first time. I never worried about when Windows 95 became Windows XP. That was okay, But now it's
different. Naive. Now
we know. The more you know, the more difficult it gets. Anyway, so let me shortly go back to here.
Yeah, but it's with everything. It's also with apps and etc. So they are working perfect, and then one day after an update, it's completely different look and feel, and 9 out of 10 times they are not better.
I put something on. I think Chris was saying something on Facebook, and I put something behind it. It's like the product cycle of an app is that. The first one is pretty good, but it could be a little bit better.
Yeah.
The second one is perfect. The third one adds stuff that you really don't need, but you can still use it. And the fourth one is just total bullshit, and you will never use it again because it's fucked up. That's the way. Yeah. But why do they do it? They have to make the updates. That's because if they want to copy stuff. Now you've got. We're still going to be on this subject for a while because now we're going to talk about YouTube. YouTube has become almost impossible to use.
Horror.
It's a horror show because now they want to do TikTok things. So first you had the playing videos in the timeline, which is really annoying because you're browsing through your timeline and the video starts playing, and it's really so I could switch that off luckily after some. And then they had the stories thing with little short videos, and now they've got something else. It's not called stories, but it's shorts.
It's all for revenue and advertising. They just need to try and keep you on the site for as long as possible.
I know, but it's
I had a panic attack a couple of weeks ago. My ad blocker stopped working in Chrome.
That's bad.
And I couldn't find the internet. No. Every page I went to, it was like, this advert pop up, click
cookies,
here, cookies
here, and do you want this site to send you messages?
And the amount of content was this.
Yeah.
You could read like 2 lines of text. And then you had to scroll through more adverts. And I wondered what had happened. And then I noticed my ad blocker was off.
Yeah.
And I updated the ad blocker and turned it back on. I'm like, wow, the internet is a mess. Because I've not seen it without an ad blocker for 5 or 6 years.
It's crazy.
So I didn't realize how bad it had become. But holy cow, how do people look at the internet without an ad blocker?
It's amazing. And you will get you will end up you will click wrong links, and it's just a minefield. It's really a minefield. The whole thing, we're having this discussion, and we cannot be the only ones that think like this.
Oh no, there's millions that hate this.
Companies are still making money by doing something completely different, obviously. So when is it going to change? What will change that? I mean, we cannot change it because we need Windows. So we're going to use it. And they can do anything, really. And as long as they make money out of it, it doesn't matter whether or not we are happy with Windows.
Oh, you want an example of Me Too? Just leading on to our next little story here. Google has decided that all the Alexa devices and everyone's phones are now going to track Tile because they want to do a Me Too for Apple's AirTags.
Oh, yeah.
And they own Tile, so now they're going to try and copy that.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. It's crazy, but well, it is what it is, which is not a good thing to say, but in this case, I think that's the only thing we can say. We'll see what happens, and if Windows 11 is there...
See it in video.
Sorry?
You see it in video games. The first Battle Royale video game was PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and then everybody suddenly had to do Battle Royale.
Yeah.
So...
Okay. Let's go on to the next subject, because time is flying when you're having fun. The AirTag. There's, I don't think, a lot of news, but there is some news. Can you enlighten us?
Some news. It left Holland. We'll go through the details once it's arrived at its destination, but it left Holland. It went Qatar Airways cargo to Doha. It spent 1 day in Doha, and then it went on a commercial Doha flight to Perth. Directly, and it is now in Perth.
Okay.
I don't know if they are running out of postal workers because of COVID, but it has been at the you probably can't see that, but it's been at the sort facility in Perth for about
there it is.
There you go.
Okay.
It's been there for about 3 days now, so it's close to its destination, but it hasn't reached its destination yet.
Okay.
And I know where we can send it next. I have a friend in Tokyo who I'm going to contact and see if he'll take it.
Oh, that's really cool.
So, I thought it might be interesting here. Seems though you've blown me up. Let me see if I can get that to show up. So, it's at the Australia Post sorting facility at Perth Airport.
Okay. Well, it's great. We're already sort of used to it, but still, it's amazing that you can just follow this thing and know exactly where it is almost all of the time.
Yes.
We were at a point we were wondering which flight it was on, and we were thinking maybe it's on this flight, and then we went into Flight Radar 24, and you can actually see if the tag is still sending information from the gate. And the flight's on the way, it's obviously not on that flight. So you can get a lot out of that. And then you found out that it was on another flight, and it went directly into Perth. And it's really cool that all works. And it would be interesting to see what happens if it goes to Tokyo.
So I'm going to get in touch with my friend in Tokyo and see if he's interested in joining this little adventure, and maybe get it sent there next.
And then send it over to Hawaii. Do you know somebody in Hawaii? Maybe we should go there and receive it ourselves. Eric was saying that maybe in the end, when we've got the circle around the world done, we should send it to a really weird location somewhere in the middle of Africa or whatever. Some village that we just pick on Google Maps, and then put a random address on it, and then just send it and see what happens. That would be great.
That would be interesting.
To a not yet found tribe somewhere in the bush.
We might never see it again.
Who cares?
No, it's true.
Maybe if your friend in Perth has some contacts on the other side of Australia, it could actually be fun to first let it ship to the other side of Australia by road train or whatever. See if that
That's a good one too.
would be possible.
Yeah, I'm not.
Or New Zealand.
Well,
or something.
I think New Zealand, but I think what would be important is to send it somewhere without an airport. So you should probably send it to the outback, somewhere in Australia.
We should send it to the tourist centre at Ayers Rock, which is right in the middle of Australia.
Exactly, because there's no plane going there, so they have to ship it or send it.
Yeah, well, you say that. There's bush pilots that'll fly out there. They have mail.
Well,
planes,
okay,
small
mail planes, but that's already different than a commercial flight. Anyway, there's a lot. We can probably have fun with this for the years to come. So,
well, and we should ship it. Try to get it in every country of the world or something.
At least every continent.
Yeah, maybe you can send it to some sort of research center in Antarctica. Stuff like that. Yeah, this is cool. Why not?
Cool.
Okay. I was thinking, last thing on the AirTag. There's obviously a battery in it, and it will last you a long time. But we are using that battery a lot because it's active constantly now, because it's so that's another thing to look at. How?
Well, the good news is whenever it reports its position, it tells me how much battery it's got left. It still says 100%.
Oh wow! I didn't even know
100%.
that. Okay, well that's good. Okay,
Yep.
no, well.
So because it's just emitting the low energy signal all the time, it's the back end on the server that's doing all the work.
Okay, so there's no extra stress on that battery. Because okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Anyway, we'll see about that. Okay, it's almost over, but maybe we can do a little short version of the television thing, because this is not gonna be a deep dive. But last week we discussed televisions and that whole situation, and the problem that I've got. Well, I don't have a problem yet because my television is still working, but in general. I've got a plasma screen, HD, and I'm really happy with it. I've been happy with it since I've got it, and still, if I look at it, it is looking to me, because this is really also a personal thing, but to me it still looks better than any other TV almost that I've seen. Technically, obviously, it is not better because it's not 4K. It has some restrictions because it's plasma. But one thing that it does really good is that it's really sharp, even with the lower pixel count, if you can call it like that. But it's really sharp. There are no edges around anything. It's really spot on. The colors are great, still, after all these years. And the motion is flawless. There are no artifacts, no smearing, no nothing. And whenever I look at even top OLED screens, the first thing that really annoys me is that it presents a woolly kind of picture, not with a slide that is projected still. That is absolutely way better than my plasma screen, because it's a higher resolution and it's got all the techniques. And just if you put on a slide like a picture, no discussion. But as soon as it starts to move, to pan, the whole picture becomes unsharp. And when the move when it stops again, it clicks back into sharpness. And they all have that.
That's a function of that's a function of the demo mode that they put that every TV ships with.
Yeah, but
so it's trying to interpolate different frame rates, and and you can turn all of that off.
But I've done that, and the problem is still there.
When we got our new TV and when we got our new projector, all of that was turned on, and we turned it all off, and all of that artifact problem went away.
Well, maybe.
And it's just because they ship them like that, and 95% of people don't know to turn all of that stuff off, because the manufacturer thinks that makes the TV look good in a showroom. But if you take it home,
Yeah.
it doesn't look
Well,
that
I know,
good.
I know that, and also if I mean on the background you see Vinny. Vinny is Vincentillo. He's got a ACTV test channel, and you just have to watch this guy, even if you are not interested in TVs. This guy is so funny. He's knowledgeable, and he says that in Korean, so knowledgeable, and
Yeah.
he has a thick Korean accent. But he speaks very well English, very well. His sentences are spot on, but it's with a thick Korean accent. He knows everything about televisions, and he can tell it in a way that it's not boring, at least not to me, because he really explains very well what everything is. So that's good. He does the absolute best tests that I've seen anywhere. He rents a room, put all the TV there, and he's got people coming in, and it's really, really cool to see that. So a lot of my information comes through him and some other channels. And then I've actually asked the question once, is OLED better than plasma, or is plasma hasn't it survived for all the other obvious reasons, like power consumption, very difficult to ship, weight, all that. And he says, no, OLED is really better, and it should be. So I trust that. But whenever I see an OLED screen, it annoys me. And it could be settings, and maybe I can find a way to get it better. But whenever I see it, I see all kinds of issues with it. And I just, you can see that they're trying to make a picture out of thin air. It's not there.
The major setting that you need to turn off when you get a new TV like that is movie mode.
Okay.
If you turn off movie mode, which is on by default on almost every TV now, 95% of those problems go away.
Yeah. Well,
and it's movie mode is, I mean, especially with the 120 hertz TVs, they're trying to invent 4 frames for every 1 frame that's been broadcast.
Yeah.
You know, because they want to run, like, broadcast quality is either 29 frames a second or 60 frames a second. So if you're running 29 frames a second on 120 hertz TV, it's making up 3 frames for every one that's been broadcast. If you turn movie mode and interpolation off, it runs at 30 hertz, but you get the perfect picture.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's the same like with Windows. You just have to switch everything off, and then it's best. Because that's mostly what it is. So yeah, I know that. Then they've got black frame insertion,
and then turn each setting back on until it breaks, and then turn that setting off.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was an old joke that a pilot friend of mine used to say about helicopters. He said you can't really be taught to fly a helicopter, but he said what you do is you get the helicopter up to about 200 feet. And then you put the controls in a certain position and you watch what the helicopter does. Because if you want the helicopter to do that again, that's where you put the controls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm not sure yet. If my TV breaks down, it's gonna be a fun couple of weeks, I think. But let's see, because then you've got HDR. Again, something that OLED doesn't do very well, but you can have LED or QLED that does that very well.
Well, I can see your TV having an accident.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather at this point in time that it not had an accident, because I would not know. Yeah, well, the thing is, the TV.
So you're pre-panicking about a new TV?
Yeah, I'm panicking about having to buy a new TV. True. Yeah, I don't want that. I want to keep this one forever. Now that's not true, because you're starting to miss 4K. So it's.
So Paul, what happens on a Sunday if your TV breaks and there's a Formula One race on?
I'll put it on my computer, or my tablet.
So you wouldn't just rush out to a bar or go and buy a new TV.
No. To be honest, my screen that I've got here is pretty good. So I can watch a lot of content on that if I need to. It's not gonna be a problem. I don't have to rush out and buy a TV. But I don't know. It's probably, when I look at it, it's gonna be expensive, because the really cheap ones to me don't look good at all. So it's gonna be 3,000 euros, and it's probably gonna be either a Panasonic or a Sony, because those two to me seem like the best ones. They're both good at different things. Sony's a little bit better at motion. Panasonic's a little bit better at color and truthful reproduction of pictures. And I've got a Panasonic now. I'm leaning towards getting a Panasonic again.
One thing to check. It used to be the case. I don't know if this is still the case, but it used to be the case. There were only two manufacturers that built the panels,
LG.
and that was LG and Samsung.
Yeah, well, LG is the only one that builds OLED.
Sony were LG panels, and Panasonic, I think, were Samsung panels.
Okay, I think they're both LG panels now. And now there's a whole thing because LG has two factories, and you need to. I mean, there are TVs of the same type, but some of them have screens from location A, and some of them have screens of location B, and you have to have the location B screen because that's a lot better screen. And you don't know because it's in the TV, so that's a new complication of things. But anyway,
you have to know the serial number of the TV before you've got it, so you know where
there
the
are
screen
websites trying to figure out. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But we'll see about that. Anyway, so that was a little short version of the television thing. We're almost done again. It's almost 9 o'clock. Did we forget anything really important? Oh, one thing we discussed a little bit on the side is whether or not we should have merch, Grindelwald Bosses merch, and we were talking about stickers. We had some Grindelwald Bosses stickers a while ago, and I think that we are getting ready to create some. So if people want to buy Grindelwald Bastard stickers, if you're interested, let me know, because then at least I know how many to order. Whether I should order 10 or 50,000 or 100,000. You know? Anyway, so that will.
One for the three of us and one each for our two viewers.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see about that, but that would just be for the fun of it. So anyway, I think that's probably it. We didn't have a memory of the week. If any of you guys know something specific, that would be great. Okay, then there's one thing that we'll use as a sort of a how do you call it to close this show. My dad went to his caravan, and he already has 2 TVs there and a couple of phones and everything, but because of the soccer, he wanted to take another screen. So he was back at home for a couple of days to do the laundry, and he took his old JVC LCD screen. And he told me that he would do that, and I was thinking, oh my God, he has to set it up, he has to link it on, and this is going to be, terrible. And why would you want to do that if you're on holiday? But anyway, so he took it, and lo and behold, that evening, I've got a problem. This TV has only SCART, and my TV tuner has HDMI. How do I solve that? I think, oh shit, here we go. There's their cable. Well, not a cable, maybe a converter, but it's not going to be a good solution anyway. You look at it, because a resolution of 576p on a screen, it's going to look horrible. But then I looked and I saw for 10 or 15 euros you had this little box, and you could at least physically connect them together, and we'll see. So we went through that whole thing, ordered this thing, and he got it, and I got a WhatsApp. Yeah, I've got it. I'm going to try it. And then I heard nothing. So a day later, said, everything okay? Well, the picture looks terrible, and it's a little bit greenish, and there were all kinds of things wrong with it, but I've got a picture, so I'll live with it. Then I started thinking, oh yeah, we've got RGB SCART. Maybe one of the pins is broken, because if one of the colors is off, we know about that. So I started communicating about that a little bit, and then he sent me some pictures. And on one of the pictures, in the lower right corner, I could see a logo on the JVC screen, and one of the words next to the logo was HDMI. So I was like, but Dad, it says HDMI on the monitor, so it should have HDMI ports. No, can't find them. I think it's a television, like, not even 1 by 1 meter.
There's not
a lot of places where you have to look for an HDMI port. So I started wondering whether there should be. So I went on the internet, looked up the manual for it. I didn't even know the type, but I found it anyway. And I saw it had 2 external 5 and 6 were both HDMI ports. And it was on the bottom. It was on another location as a SCART, but it was there. So I said that. So I scanned or took a picture of the manual and sent him that with an arrow. Here you should look. Well, no, mine looks different. And he sends me a picture of the side panel again, not the bottom panel. I said, no, it's not on the side, it's on the bottom. And then I heard nothing. Obviously, he found them. And he put and now he's got a brilliant picture with HDMI.
So what you're saying is this ability to overcomplicate things runs in your family now.
That was the whole point. Anyway,
all becomes
with
clear.
That bombshell.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah. We have another useless converter.
Jeremy, I'm watching Clarkson's Farm. It's hilarious. It's just absolutely great stuff. It's real Jeremy Clarkson. He bought a Lamborghini tractor.
Yeah.
You just have to watch that because I really like it. Did you see it, Chris?
Yeah, we're on episode 6.
We are at 7 or something. It's
Where is it?
Prime.
I do not know it.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Clarkson's Farm.
It's absolutely a must see because the humor in it. I mean, there are not a lot of shows that I really have to laugh about anymore. But in this case, I was rolling over the floor a couple of times because it's just so funny. It's great. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, please leave us a comment if you find anything about this show. If you like it, hate it, like us or hate us. Subscribe. Do the whole thing because the community is not growing a lot. So I'm thinking next time we have to have a subject of girls in bikinis or something. Maybe that'll help.
Okay.
Or men in shorts.
At least
whatever.
At least put it in the header.
Yeah, and then we'll see if suddenly
today.
we've got 20 live viewers. We know that's the trick. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Hope to see you next week and have a good week. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye.